My name is Jack on behalf of Edumundo. I'm going to be doing a quick recording for a Q&A session for the simulation ProSim Advanced. I'll be going over some of the most frequently asked questions within the simulation, but also go over some other areas of the simulation that you should also take a look at in general. So we'll start off with the first place that probably most of you will check, of course, is the ranking table or the stock exchange, where you can take a look at all of the different teams within the simulation and the points that you've scored so far. Do remember that these points are based on the balance scorecard that is within the simulation. You can either click on this section or it can be found under the results tab as well. Of course, there are not only financial targets that you do have to reach every single round, there are customer ones, internal, and learning and growth. Of course, you always want to try and aim to be in that green position every single round, and you can take a look at each of the targets and what point you'll get into the green by simply clicking on it, where the norm value is the point at which you'll go into the green section, and the minimal value is the point where you'll descend into the red section, where you'll start earning less and less points. Of course, there are lots of different areas that you need to take a look at, but before I go into some of the decision-making areas, I do want to have a look at some of the results that you should check every single round, and we'll start off with the sales and inventory. A pretty common issue that most teams do experience is the demand and supply issues that they have for each of their products. As you can see with this team, they currently are able to meet the demand that they have had over the year. However, as you can see, there is quite a lot of unsold inventory for 3 of their products. However, it's the opposite way around for their ski helmets, where unfortunately they have an undersupply and they've missed out on some of that potential revenue. This is ultimately all down to the decision section under the purchasing tab, where they may have oversupplied and bought too many products. What my recommendation whenever you are purchasing any products is that you do need to keep in mind that it will take 1 whole year or 1 whole round to arrive. What that means is that if we quickly head over to, for example, the decision section under purchasing, you can see under the warning, the products that are ordered now are available in period 11. And as you can see, we're currently in period 10, meaning it will take 1 whole year to arrive. So you do need to keep that in mind whenever you are purchasing any inventory. I would also always take a look at your current inventory table whenever you are making any purchases, because this is your current inventory. This is the inventory that is currently in your warehouse, where it takes into account the purchases that were made, for example, in period 7, and is now being used in period 8, for example. There are other areas within the simulation, of course, that you do need to check out. Making sure, for example, your income statement, where you're making a profit every single round. And a quick tip that I will give is that always try and aim for a gross profit margin of anywhere between 30 to maybe 60%, depending on the strategy that you've come up with. What I mean by this is that this gross profit margin number is ultimately anywhere between 30 to 60% of your net turnover. That is how you can calculate that figure. Of course, if you are making a loss, don't get too nervous about it. There will probably still be plenty of rounds to go for you to catch up. But again, you may want to rethink what supplier you've chosen and how costly it is, or you may want to rethink your price in terms of how expensive or cheap you want it to be. Another really important aspect within the simulation that I will say is quite important is the market research that you can conduct. We highly recommend that you get at least 3 different market research items every single round. For example, you can take a look at your competitor pricing, the segment size, but also maybe some other items that may be more important later on down the line. And if you do want to purchase this market research, head over to Decisions, Market Research, and here you can see all of the different available options. And just one more time, you can select as many as you want, but we do recommend at least 3. While we're still on the decision section, we're going to take a look at some of these other items. For example, under the marketing section, if you are experiencing maybe a little bit low levels of demand, one way you can improve it is through increasing the marketing budget that you've set, but also selecting the correct market communication mixes, messages, and e-commerce, which can all be found out through market research that can be purchased. However, another way that you can help increase your demand is also with doing some research and development if you would like. And also you can help improve the number of sales staff that you have. The more sales staff that you have, the more likely you are to help increase your demand. But again, keep in mind maybe the cost associated with having those more staff members. That's about it for all of the most common questions within the simulation. Of course, if you do have any questions later on down the line, you can always get in touch with our help desk. And in order to do that, before you log in to the simulation, there is a help desk button here. Simply click on it. You'll be redirected to our website where you can select Management Simulation. And if you go to ProSim Advanced, you should see your game name pop up or drop down. And once you've selected your game name, just put in your login details, for example, your username, your name, and then with your question, and we should get back to you within 24 hours. But that's about it from me. If you do have any questions, get in touch with our help desk. But for now, I'll wish you all the best with the upcoming rounds. Thanks.